Is your pride breaking what God is building in you? So, Bill, today we're talking about identifying pride.
Yeah, doing a short 3-part series. We're starting by identifying the pride.
First of 3 on pride. Today is identifying pride. This seems to me like a very necessary step.
I think as men,
You know what I'm saying? I think
we have a hard time recognizing it when it's rearing its ugly head.
Yeah, I mean, pride is one of those things where it's the undercurrent of all sin, right? It's selfishness, right? So that's the opposite of righteousness, or you could call it self-righteousness instead of righteousness. It's where all sin is birthed, is this issue of pride. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about identifying it. And when I think of identifying pride, my first go-to is we got to define what we mean by pride, right? And it seems like an easy one, but at the same time, I look at what Noah Webster says.
Yep.
I use his dictionary a lot. I think the English language there's attempts to change it a little too much. That's just my personal take on that. So Noah Webster says it's an inordinate self-esteem, an unreasonable conceit of one's own superiority in talents or beauty, wealth, accomplishments, so on and so forth. And this manifests itself in these lofty airs, distant reserve, and often contempt of others. And I think that pretty much hits it on the...
It almost sounds like a scripture verse I've heard, don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pride is the opposite of humility, so on and so forth.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah, this manifests itself in this lofty airs of oneself, distant reserve, and then often it's contentment in others, which it leads to. So why don't you start us off by giving us some of the symptoms of pride that you were identifying?
Yeah, when getting ready for this episode, there are a couple of things that I just had being honest with myself. How has pride reared its ugly head in my life? Anger, I think.
Yep.
It's a really slippery slope from pride to anger. Mm-hmm. I think that's a surefire sign that the anger of man doesn't bring about God's righteousness. That comes from pride. We talked about how women will tend to lean into worry with their emotions, and men will tend to lean into anger with their emotions.
Sure.
And I don't think that comes from a good source. I think that comes from a prideful source. So if I'm getting angry about something, okay, let's identify that. Why is that happening? And is that fruit or is that flesh? Kind of thing. The others are, self-serving. Am I just looking for what I want to accomplish, want to do, what makes me look good, rather than being the servant? That's obviously a little more, pushing people out of the way, making them look like they're performing less, make me look like I'm performing better, so I can have the promotion.
Yeah, it's almost like a my way or the highway type thing.
Yeah, which
too.
we talked about.
That. Yeah.
So, and there's some other things. When I can't be corrected, when I'm just not receiving any correction, that's for I'm dealing with my pride. Yeah. Or I can't own my mistakes.
Oh, the blame game.
Or I excuse them. I can't take ownership. I can't apologize. Oh, I didn't know. Well, it's what we've talked about. I didn't mean that. That's not what I meant, so I'm not at fault.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's judging yourself by your intentions.
Right, exactly.
Which is what you talked about.
Yeah, I did a short on that a little while ago, a couple weeks ago. And then more importantly, I think for men is we don't need help. If we're going, I got this. I don't need help. I think
that can be a sign of pride.
Yeah, absolutely. For me. So that's kind of what I'm going through my own life in my own head and looking some things up. I think those are surefire signs of, hey, pride's rearing its ugly head.
Those are great call outs to simply trying to identify our pride, anger, self-serving. You can't be corrected. You can't own your mistakes. You have a hard time apologizing and a hard time taking ownership. I mean, that's great.
I grew up before GPS, right? My dad taught us how to read maps.
Paper map, right? My dad had a road atlas.
And my dad would never pull over and ask for directions unless he had absolutely no other. And that's the typical, the wife go, would you just pull over and ask?
That's the age-old man pride.
That's the age-old man story, but that's kind of a good word picture to what we're talking about.
And I threw this identifying pride thing, into my Logos Bible study program. I said, hey, give me some feedback on this. And it did. And I pulled up a few things that I was like, man, I'm going to share these. There's just
good stuff.
There's just 3 of them. And this is like the results of pride.
Yeah.
Like if you don't catch the symptoms, this is kind of what happens. And one of those is that pride weakens faith. Our pride has a way of weakening our faith. I mean, you look at Jesus, actually, he refrained to do miracles, greater miracles in Nazareth, specifically because the people's arrogance and their disbelief, their pride got in the way,
Yeah.
right, of what Jesus was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So pride does have a way of weakening our faith. Another thing it does is that it distorts how we perceive ourselves and others. You know, it builds us to, it's blinding us to our own shortcomings, right? Which is very detrimental to not only our walk with the Lord, but our relationships with other people.
Take the log out of our own eye before we take the speck out.
It magnifies the other people's faults, but it undermines it blinds us to our own.
Yeah, it diminishes in our own sight.
Yeah. And then the last thing I pulled out of here was that it actually cuts us off from God and others. It leads to self-righteousness, and that kind of prevents us from learning anything from the Lord.
Broken relationships.
Yes.
See, people don't want to be around you if you have too much pride.
Yeah,
You're not approachable. You're not conversational. They don't want to.
It cuts you off.
They don't want to be around you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you have a hard time growing healthy, strong relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of that can be traced back to pride. So results of pride, again, it'll weaken our faith. It'll distort in how we perceive ourselves and others. And then it cuts us off from the Lord's leading and from other people. And the pattern, I think, is clear. Pride actually replaces dependence with self-sufficiency. It replaces faith with arrogance. And it opens in openness. It replaces with defensiveness.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be this. Let's identify the pride in our life, and then let's begin to look at areas where perhaps it's done some damage and address those things.
If we can't see it, we can't deal with it.
If we can't see it, we can't deal with it. And one of the greatest, I think, examples of this in the Bible is King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel.
Ooh.
If you'll remember, I'll just read it for us. It says, "All this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar, right? At the end of the 12 months, he was walking on the roof of the royal palace of Babylon, and the king answered and said, 'Is not this great Babylon, which I have built by my mighty power as a royal residence for the glory of my majesty?'" That's King Nebuchadnezzar's words about himself. While the words were still in the king's mouth, you remember there fell a voice from heaven, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you." There goes the kingdom, right, from him. "You shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling place shall be the beasts with the beasts of the field. You shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and 7 periods of time shall pass over you until you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will." It's kind of like a smackdown from the Lord. Immediately the words were fulfilled against Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven out from among men, ate grass like an ox, body was wet with the dew of the heaven, his hair grew long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like claws of birds.
Man, that's
So
if you're getting a smackdown from the Lord, that's a surefire sign that, and if you're a man, that you're dealing with perhaps a pride issue.
right. And this is the culmination of it if we don't deal with it.
Right.
So let the warning be clear. Hey, men, especially those of us that claim to be men of God, the first step, I think, in conquering our pride is identifying it.
Absolutely.
Where is it in our lives, and is the pride breaking what God is building?
Man, wow.
It's hard to hear.
It is, and it's still hard to identify. I think it comes with practice. I don't think if we don't start engaging with looking and identifying and being transparent,
Right.
pulling down the walls of no, that's just all right. Let those drop, right? Let's be honest. The best thing, the greatest ability we have as human beings is lying to ourselves. And we got to stop that, set that to the side, and just be, okay, let's just be fully transparent, honest. Let's call it what it is, and then we can start dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, what a great opener, I think, to this area of pride, being able to identify it. And I would say, again, just to repeat as we close out, the first step to conquering pride is identifying it. And the great question that I think we have for us today is our pride breaking what God is trying to build in us?
Oh my gosh. Is
it hindering?
That's what we want to do. We want to participate in
With the Holy Spirit.
in the mission,
Yes.
right? Making disciples, right?
Well, hey, thanks so much for watching and tuning in. And drop us a comment, a like, a share, a subscribe, and maybe tell us how you're doing in this area of pride, how we could pray for you, how you've been identifying it in your life, how you've been dealing with it. And let's do this manhood thing, this going from good to godly. Let's do it together. Amen. So ask yourself, can you identify pride in your life? And is it breaking what God is trying to build? Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.